Young men today play more video games than any generation in history. They're also working less, dating less, exercising less. Is gaming actually ruining them? Or just absorbing the time freed up by everything else around them quietly collapsing? Today, we put video games on trial. The case for, the case against, what actually changed about being a young man, and the verdict that's more uncomfortable than either side wants. First, the case for, because gaming isn't the empty calorie activity that older generations like to assume. The research is genuinely solid. Action games improve reaction time, visual attention, and spatial reasoning. Strategy games train working memory and planning. Players outperform non-players on certain cognitive tests, including, in some studies, surgical precision. Online team games are essentially live workshops in coordination, communicating under pressure, delegating roles, reading teammates. The skills look invisible from the outside, but they're the same ones modern jobs increasingly require, just unrecognized. And for many young men, gaming friendships are the deepest they have. Voice channels, Discord servers, years of shared raids. These aren't shallow. Surveys often find gamers report stronger community bonds online than they do offline. That's not nothing. Escapism itself isn't pathological. Reading novels is escapism. Watching sport is escapism. Every generation had its way of switching off. Gaming, in moderation, is a perfectly reasonable one. The question is just, is it actually in moderation? But the case against is just as serious, because what's changed isn't the games. It's the share of life they now consume and the things they've replaced. The average young man in the US now plays around 12 hours of video games per week. Some demographics, much more. That same group, 20 years ago, played about 8 extra hours a week, every week. The time came from somewhere. It always does. Modern games aren't designed to be fun. They're designed to be engaging. Slot machine reward schedules, battle pass treadmills, endless progression, the same psychology that makes social media compulsive. Gaming companies hired the same people. They got better, faster. The deepest concern isn't the time, it's the substitution. The same young man who quietly accepts no progress at work or in dating can feel mastery, status, and victory in a game every single evening. The game gives what reality doesn't, so he picks the game. Heavy gaming correlates with worse mental health, more loneliness, less life satisfaction. The direction of cause is debated, but the data is consistent. The young men who game the most are usually the ones doing worst across most other measures. And every hour spent in a fully engineered dopamine environment makes the unengineered world feel duller. Real friendship is messier than Discord. Real conversations feel slower. The bar keeps moving. So is gaming the cause or the symptom? To answer that, you have to look at what changed about the world young men actually live in. Compared to 20 years ago, fewer young men in stable jobs, lower wages relative to housing, fewer entry-level pathways, less dating success on apps, less community, less religion, less of the structures that used to give young men identity and direction. The vacuum is real. Games didn't cause this vacuum. They filled it. They were perfectly designed to absorb attention, deliver agency, and substitute for status, exactly when all three were disappearing from young men's actual lives. Take away games, the vacuum stays. The thing underneath is harder to fix. Which brings us to the verdict, and it's much more uncomfortable than either side wants. Games are not ruining young men, and heavy gaming is a sign that something else is. The hours are a symptom, not a disease. Telling someone to play less without giving them something to play less for just leaves them with an emptier evening. The right question isn't, should we play less? It's, what's missing? Identity, purpose, community, status, movement, a reason to leave the house. Until those return, the games will absorb whatever vacuum exists. Always have, always will. Games as supplement to a full life. Perfectly healthy. Games as substitute for a life that isn't happening. A warning sign. Not for you. For everything around you. The check isn't how many hours do I play. It's, what would I do if I couldn't? If the honest answer is nothing better, that's the work. Pick one thing. The gym, a class, a side project, a real conversation. Anything that fills part of the vacuum the games are absorbing. The hours will redistribute, they always do. Honest take. Are you a healthy gamer or are games filling something? Drop where you land in the comments. If this gave you a useful reframe, hit subscribe.